What's up, everybody on the live stream? Max. What's up, man?
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me, man.
We're big podcast guys.
Yeah, love the shirt, dude.
I love this shirt.
I have so much fucking content, it says.
Shout out to Figment for making this shirt.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's a hot sale right now over
Is
at
it?
busdriverexperience.com, busdriverproductions.com.
Plugs everywhere.
Gotta plug it. But I mean, it's a great shirt. I just gotta find a way to put a logo on it, or I just gotta run with it. And
Do
hopefully,
you get nervous before podcasts?
not really.
I get like pregame nerves still.
Depends on the guest, and depends on the flow, and it depends kind of, you know, who I'm gonna be interviewing. And
We're friends, and I have the butterflies.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you got butterflies about?
I always get nervous before a podcast. It's like game time. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, you're a ball player, so
Yeah.
I still get butterflies when I go out and like play pickup or I go and do something.
Not when I play pickup. When I podcast, though.
Well, no, my jitters are gone, but it's like
I feel that.
I'm just turned on. Like, people don't play sports with me because they know Brandon is like here, turned on, any kind of competition.
I'm similar.
I remember I had a buddy of mine was in town, and he was friends with my ex, and he had told me, we were talking about being competitive and playing, and he's like, yeah, she told me the time when she went to go watch you play sports the first time, is like, oh, this guy's crazy. This guy is crazy.
Dude,
about competition.
I consider myself a very gentle human, and when I play basketball, my friends laugh because I'm always scrapping, and I'm like a different human. But I think it's healthy to get that anger out. Or not anger, but like aggression and pent up. It's like your animal instincts to fight get out when you play a sport and give it your intensity. I think it's cool.
I think it's a needed thing, but I also think that because we come from a background of we've been training and playing at such these high levels and high intensity, if we don't have that outlet that we've not necessarily need, but it's been so built into our psyche, it's built into our regiments and routine that, hey, you know, for 2 to 4 hours a day, we're going to be training like madmen for something. And so now we can go out and get it in whatever way we can. It feels great.
It does feel good.
I think, yeah, a lot of people don't get that big push, that big outlet to go out and, you know, to experience the tough stuff, to experience the battles. I mean, this is like just like, how would you want to say, a hybrid? It's like.
So how would you say you find that now?
I have to go when I go to the gym, and I just have to make a ridiculous workout, ridiculous exercise, just to.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's almost like setting the bar for the day, making that, you know, ridiculous accomplishment. But at the same time, setting up little accomplishments where it's, you know, what you've been putting me on, like saying, hey, dude, you got to be doing 10 minutes, 10 days in a row meditation.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
You did it? 10 days?
I was just shooting you a text after I went down, sat on the balcony floor up there.
First 3 days. I don't know. But I think it's important to, like, have a 10-day stretch where you just give yourself to it. I think that helps. And the small wins, like you said.
Yeah.
It can be smaller. It doesn't need to be as mountainous as something like go have the hardest workout every single day. It could be like 10 minutes of sitting with yourself every day is like just as much of a battle sometimes.
Yeah, my own psyche just needs that. I think people just they don't realize that those little wins every day. You really vouch on those, just getting people to get up every day, get out and move on those.
I don't vouch for, I try not to
Not vouch, but you advocate.
I advocate because of what it's done for me.
Mm-hmm. What has it done for you?
I think I've gotten to know myself pretty well now, and I think I'm naturally, like a lot of people, can just fall into anxious tendencies, and I'm someone who came from that basketball background where you're achieving and you have a goal and it's very clear, but when that's not there anymore, you have to get really good at knowing yourself and slowing down and just like checking in with yourself. So I've gotten huge at these small habits, these small wins where maybe I'm not trying to win a championship or go pro at anything anymore. I'm just trying to be better every day. So now I've gotten better at finding, okay, what are some of the micro things that if I do these every single day over the year, the ripple effects they have on my life are tremendous.
You're really good at that. That's something you do really well.
It's not being good. It's just like, you're one of the most disciplined people I know.
Good, but good in terms of like that you can break it down and look at it that way.
Yeah,
me,
because
I'm going championship everything.
True. Well,
and it's bad because I want to be a home run hitter.
So let's take meditation for example.
Yeah.
10 minutes a day is what it started for me, and that's why I said if you're trying to get into it at all, just sit for 10 minutes for 10 days. Make that a challenge and see how you feel after those 10 days. First 2 days, you're going to be like, ooh, this is an exciting new habit. After 5 days, you're going to be like, fuck this habit. I don't want to do this anymore. But if you can go through 10, you're going to be like, oh, wow, there's some differences. So the ripple effects that I noticed from maybe 10 days to 2 weeks to 2 months is like, okay, 10 minutes has led me to now I feel more mindful. Now I'm reaching for better foods. Now when I don't want to work out, I'm a little more in touch with what that is, and I'm able to push through. Now when I'm working, my mind starts to drift, but I've been practicing in the morning of 10 minutes of mindfulness. Now I'm able to bring that back. And so those 10 minutes now, even if it's a small scale, like 10 days or a month, I've learned that there's no measuring the ripple effects it has in so many aspects of my life. So I'm like, okay, if this made so many ripple effects in terms of my diet, my productivity, my sleep quality, and my workout routine, all from 10 minutes in the morning, what is this going to do to me in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years? Like, those ripple effects are the ones that I'm still figuring out. I don't even know if I've found them yet, but I've seen it on a small scale. So now I'm like really trying to test this at a huge scale. So I'm trying to go 3 years, consistently meditating, journaling, and doing these things that I think help me.
Yeah, that's a problem for everybody in our society.
What problem?
I think instant gratification. A lot of people can't look outside that, like you said, even that 10-day window. You're let alone trying to work on this 3-year window, the 3-month window. And that's massive for some people. I mean, same with me. It's so hard to look outside of that because even coming from someone who's been successful at college sports, professional sports, I just had to do this and I was good at it. So luckily I had the discipline, but I think a lot of athletes, especially, it's so hard transitioning out of sports because we're so used to the instant gratification of, being the best at what we did, and now we have to not revert back, but like take a big step back. But I think the things that you do and advocate is like things that not just athletes need, but everybody needs, because everybody wants to not even stay at a job for a year or 2 years or 3 years. Like, this job sucks. I'm not VP yet. I want to transition over to someplace else.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah. For me, it's just about being the better, happier, healthier version of me and what that can lead to. Like, I'm just trying to feel better in my body and my mind as I go about life. And there's just certain things that I've found to help me. And when I found those, I was like, I should have done this when I was still playing basketball. Basketball players can use this now and they'll be better basketball players. When they transition out of basketball, like we said, it's difficult. They'll now have a toolbox, a skill set that will carry with them far beyond basketball. So when we finished, we're like, okay, what do we do with this discipline and hard work now? We found things, but beyond discipline and hard work, what else can you learn when you're an athlete that will help transition you out of the sport? Now that can be things like mindfulness, like self-awareness, self-care, just simple things that will help you be better at whatever goal you have now, but it'll also help you at any other goal you have.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of
So let's talk about the 10 days you did.
Go on.
You sat and I didn't want Brandon to meditate so if you have an active mind, sitting down and trying to silence that mind right away is maybe not the easiest thing to do right away. But with you want to step into this different energy. You want to start getting some like things really moving in certain directions. We don't have to talk specifics. So we talked about like having you sit down and visualize everything you wanted for 10 minutes a day. And like to not only visualize how it would look if you were like exactly where you wanted, if all the pieces came together, but how it felt. And like we talked about like feeling that in your body and like really, really not thinking about how am I going to get there, but just enjoying it before you've even arrived there. So tell me how that went, man.
Well, I already was a big self-affirmation guy, putting those ideas out there. And, it's kind of the stuff in The Secret that you're not supposed, that everybody hates on, but like, but if you put those ideas out there and then you actually put the plans and put things in place. So I think it's definitely, I used to be a big meditator. I told you that, right? I used to do like 60 minutes, 90 minutes a day to start my days.
It's a long time.
4 years ago. Yeah.
It's a long time.
I had time living in Kuwait, man. A lot of time to meditate, work on myself. It was almost like being in hibernation out there.
Yeah. That's the thing with meditation. It's like you can meditate as long as you want, but can you apply it, bring it to life,
I was.
The hard part for me.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
What do you mean apply it, bring it to life?
So meditation's the act of kind of coming back to the breath, coming back to your center. Can I do that when I'm out working on a project that's really hard and I'm getting stressed? Or can I do that when I'm playing basketball and someone pisses me off and I don't want to react right away? Can I come back to that stillness? Meditation's easy when you're sitting on a mat, closing your eyes. That's kind of like hitting the gym. But what are you hitting the gym for? You're hitting the gym so you could be a better athlete. You're meditating so you could just be a more calm and in control human. So
Yeah. I think that's the thing that people get away from.
it's like practice versus the game.
It's being able to have a thought, reflect on the thought, and then let go of the thought. That's how I see the exercise of meditation.
For sure.
And if you're able to do that, you're going to be able to go throughout your day, and because shit's going to happen. Someone might cut you on a traffic. You don't get the job or this or that. The things that go your way, they don't go your way. Even if the good things happen, you have to be able to, oh, wow, acknowledge, reflect. Wow, what a great moment. What a great feeling I'm having. But at the same time, pass on to that next one. Or else you sit too long on that and you start building expectations on those things, you're going to get stuck on the past. And then you build anxiety. And anxiety is anxiety is for the future, and stress is about the past. That's how it goes, man.
I agree.
But with the meditation, yeah, no, it's definitely been helping me. It's definitely forced me to, not forced me, I don't want to use the word forced, but I'm reading a lot. And I think even getting a massage has definitely helped me.
Self-care, man.
Self-care number one, but part two is that, you have to be, you're on your own now. Being able to find a way to be by yourself in your mind with no distraction. So
that's a good point.
You having your head face down into this horseshoe pillow.
That's a good point. Yeah, go get a massage for 60 minutes. You'll see how wild your mind is. Like, wow, I can't stop thinking. Whoa, I can't stop thinking. Am I even enjoying this massage? Like, you really hear yourself.
Absolutely. And I think
for me, it's been easy to not be by myself a lot with the phone. Like, I can meditate 15, 20 minutes in the morning, but what if I don't ever be by myself again for the rest of the day? Because if I'm ever by myself, sometimes it's so easy to reach for the phone, just start scrolling. It's so easy to, if I have a second to drive, just put in a podcast here. So I'm always having input. And it's like this, it's like our crave to be better as athletes. Like, I want to be better every time I can. So if every time I'm driving, every time I have a downtime, I'm trying to read or listen to a podcast or even just scroll, it's kind of like this funny way that the mind avoids the discomfort of just being by itself.
Have you seen,
which is a great point.
You've seen the photo shoot that guy did with people with their phones?
Yeah, I posted about it.
And then took the phones away? That was
beautiful. So for people watching on video, if you have a phone, if you imagine what someone looks like when they're on their phone, they're kind of like this. And so if you take the phone away, they're kind of like in this depressed state. I've been learning a lot from Aaron Alexander, who talks about this all the time, and you're kind of in this depressed state. And he says that there's all these studies that have been done that when you're in this depressed state, it's easier to recall like memories of the past where things weren't going so well. You're in this depressed state. So when you're depressed, you get into that body language, but it works the other way around kind of. When you're in that body language, it's easier to remember depressed thoughts. But if you're standing like this, it's very unusual that you're on your phone kind of in this confident, masculine. And when you're in this positive, confident body language, there's studies that have been shown that it's easier to recall more positive memories. I got my shit together. I'm okay. I'm happy. Aaron Alexander quotes it all the time.
Okay.
I think it's a Harvard study.
All right.
I'm shitty at remembering these kind of things.
I was supposed to run into him and play some beach volleyball tomorrow with these people.
Cool.
Yeah, and then do some acro with him after. So
come through.
You going?
Tomorrow, no.
No.
But I'm with him often. I've been doing some video.
You've been making his working on his show. Mm-hmm. He's got an Align podcast. How's that been going?
It's awesome. Aaron's, I think he's about to launch a book. It's funny we're talking about him, but I think he's the leader in the mind-body space. Like, he is so well. He's a student of the mind-body connection, and my page is called Mind Body Hoops. So I've studied him, and now I have the chance to like work with him and learn from him more directly. It's awesome. He's a killer.
Yeah, he's a really in touch guy.
Yeah.
Back to that phone thing. I can't help but like, cause we're looking at the phones, and there's these images of people in bed, and they got one guy's got a phone looking away, and then the woman's got a phone and she's looking away. But the most interesting one is like masturbation with that. 'Cause like, imagine if someone's using that phone to get some imagery to get themselves off, but then that phone's not there. And now what are they looking into? Excuse me. But they're looking off into this void, and they have a look like they're gazing into something, but there's nothing there that's actually getting them off.
I don't even remember that picture.
It's not, but I just imagine that.
This is Brandon's
the
picture.
masturbation one over there.
Picture.
I just imagine that. Just like, because the phone is such a cool thing. It literally has everything.
Imagine being from a different planet and getting dropped onto this planet and seeing, oh, whoa, that's just an extension of everybody's hand. I wonder what that rectangle thing is that kind of just never leave it, and they're kind of stuck to it. They're like led by the rectangle. I wonder what's on the rectangle. It's a trippy thing. If you just drive anywhere, drive by a public place, like 70% of those people are just like concaved inward. Their body language is depressed, and they're looking at a square rectangle. It's fucking crazy.
It's a crazy thought about reality. Like, who is actually the lead species? How many, or do we determine that by the amount of people, the amount of people who are in control on a certain surface level?
Makes me want to open up and just stretch.
Are the rats there? There's more rats than people here. And we had a former biologist on the show, and he was talking about how, rats are just generalists. They're just good at just doing really just being themselves. They don't have a special trait, and because they just can live off people and the waste of people, they're doing great. One of the top dog species on the planet. So do we look at that like by insects, who have just trillions amounts of insects everywhere? We don't even know how many there are. Or do we look at that by the cell phones? That there's, more cell phones. I wouldn't say there's more cell phones than people, but there's cell phones that are guiding and leading people. And it's just like, what? Whose planet is this?
Yeah. Who's
in charge here?
Yeah.
Who's in charge, Max?
I think it's a really good test for me, the phone, is to be like, how much are you mindful of your addictive behaviors? For me, I'm like, I'll be the first to say I'm like addicted to my phone, and I think everybody is. And addiction is a trippy thing, and when you can't go without your phone for a day, or when I can't go a day without my phone, I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. I don't have freedom's one of my number one values. Like, if I can live a free life, I feel like it's a good life. The phone is one of those things that has been testing me lately. How free are you, Max? Like, if I go 2 hours and I leave my phone at home and I'm driving around, I'm like, ooh, I get a little anxious. Ooh, I'm like, wonder what I'm missing. Ooh, work is going to slip from under me. All these things are going to go wrong. Come home, I have like this hit of dopamine when I scroll and I see these red lights of like
hearts.
These things.
I'm getting love.
These notifications. Ooh, people. Oh, okay. While I was gone, people were thinking of me. Ooh,
people love me.
Ooh, my ego's in check. Everything's good. It's a crazy thing, these phones, and something I posted about it last week. That's why it's kind of on the top of mind. I had like 4 hours a day on this thing, and like,
that's it.
Given that I know, right? Given
you
that
want to know mine?
Given that I work a lot on it, but still, it added up to the week I had spent I think it was 26 hours total of the week spent on this phone, and I'm like, okay, like a third of my day is sleeping. I spent 26 hours looking at this rectangle in a depressive state out of a week. It's ridiculous. If you had a week and I said, hey, next week Tuesday, it's gone. You're going to be on the couch just in a depressive state looking at your phone. It's a trippy thing to think about. So, and still, I made that aware. I posted about it. Hey, look how disgusting my phone usage is. Next week, today's Friday. I bet you if I looked at my screen time, it was about the same.
Go ahead.
My phone's put away.
Oh, no. We're live on your phone.
We're live. Sorry, guys.
This is screen time.
Yeah, this is screen. Oh, this is killing my screen time.
Killing your screen time.
But this is what I'm saying. I was aware of it. I tried to take steps, and by like day 3 of trying to take steps, I really was aware, like, okay, there's some addictive patterns here with the phone. Like, it's actually really difficult. So
would you say it's more of...
And I think I'm on a mild case. Like you said, so many people are saying, dude, you think 4 hours a day is bad? Look at my screen time.
It's bad. 7 or 8 hours.
So people, they don't want to use the word addiction, but I think we're all addicted to things, sugar, all these different things, but the phone is the strongest one.
Would you say it's because we haven't figured out a way to access our business or use our businesses properly? Because our businesses are very...
You and I?
Yeah. We have businesses that work with, in content creation, social media, and connecting with people. And this is such an incredible invention and device to connect with people.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, the fact that I'm on a phone call with an Indian tea farm to produce a video and story, like, I love these things. I love the amount of connection I can have to get with people. You all right back there?
I'm just trying to move this fan. Sorry, guys.
No, just making sure you're all right.
We got a camera guy moving stuff.
So that's why I love these tools. It blows my mind because I love connection. I love engaging with people, and I love, the opportunity that provides not just me, but people around the world.
I've been trying to find the balance between using all the great... I love social media. Like, I love that I've met so many amazing, like-minded people online through my brand. I'm like, oh, you like the same shit I like? Like, let's connect. And I've made, like, we met that way. And you meet like-minded people that are doing the same thing, and you get to build up together. And then I get to learn really interesting, cool shit. And then I get to help my business, get new clients, all these cool things. But it's finding the balance between the good part of it and then realizing, okay, how much time should I dedicate a day to the good things of this, and then recognize anything beyond that is kind of the addiction taking over and the compulsive checking. Because I don't know about you. If you try to get some 2 hours of work done straight, how many times are you checking your phone? And there's all these studies that, just one break in concentration, you kind of have to restart the engine over.
Yeah.
And it takes like almost 10 minutes to get that thing back to a flow state. So if I have 2 hours to work and I check my phone 4 times, I'm really starting over 4 different times, and I'm never really allowing myself to get into like a deep, deep flow state where I'm moving fast and efficiently and getting my best work done. So
that's probably the biggest thing. I'm good at getting right back into the program, but again, it's probably not my best focused.
Yeah.
And I'm doing 4 things at a time anyways, which is not healthy and it's not good.
Yeah.
Regardless, so that's something I gotta stop. 1,000%.
It's just awareness. Yeah.
No,
because I say all this, but I'm saying it because I'm struggling with it, and I'm like, hopefully, bring some awareness to whoever.
I mean, again, that's the great thing about what we're doing.
Yeah.
The shows, the videos,
Yeah.
it's bringing awareness, bringing that there's so much potential in whatever we can do and whatever we want to do, and whoever we want to be, man. This reality.
Whoever we want to be.
Do it. I sound like a damn hippie, but man, it's beautiful, man. God, life is beautiful. It's a great time to be alive.
It is.
I don't have my Trump straw here, but
I would have thrown that shit away, people.
a Trump plastic straw?
Yes.
God, everybody hates him, and he's not a great president, but at the same time,
I'm not getting into this.
He's such a good marketer. Can we just talk about his marketing abilities?
Nope. I don't like anything about him.
Not even his marketing abilities? As a marketing businessman.
No.
Not business. We're just talking about marketing.
Nope.
Like, there's enough people that that love plastic straws.
Let's do it clear.
That he print his name on his straws, and raise $500,000 in 10 minutes selling
Plastic
straws.
That's just easy.
It's not good.
It's consumerism for the sake of consumerism.
I know,
It's
but
ridiculous.
But the fact that
You guys are worried about plastic and environmentalism? Let me produce a product that will just shove plastic down your throats that will never leave I don't want to get into this. I don't like
what he is he's just
this is unnecessary.
he's the worst. He's everybody's worst image of themselves, and that he just rises to the surface. But nobody knows how to properly confront with their own demons and their own things that they don't like. So this guy is just gonna continue to be president, and continue to be that just terrible figure that just disrupts and has no harmony and unity between people.
People like him because they're like, he doesn't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck either. Yeah, but I don't like.
But that's not a reason to like somebody.
Well,
that's not a reason to.
You're lighting up when you talk about him, and you like him. It sounds like. So
I think as a marketer, he's.
There's people that like him. I don't want to offend anybody who likes him, so I'd rather not talk about him.
I'm a history guy. In terms of foreign policy
Yeah.
and history, it's the most socialist. Republicans are practicing the most socialism ever. Telling Californians they can't drive electric cars because we're going to tell you what kind of cars to drive. Can't do that. We're living in a socialist, terrible state. We're trying to give people medicine. We can't even give people free health care.
I'm not a politician.
If you go get your head busted right now, it's going to cost you $2,000 out of pocket to get your head fixed. It's the place we live in. Unbelievable.
It's a damn shame.
Not good. See, that's something to get mad about. So why?
I don't want to bring that into my life. It's not part of my life, so I don't need to talk about it.
No?
No. It's not like a part of my scope, Try to focus on things I can control.
Well, helping people.
Helping people with what?
Get the medicine, be able to take care of themselves. Like bringing everybody up from the bottom of society. We can make a lot of people better. We can bring awareness and we can bring attention to their lives, and we can do that by everybody feeling better and looking better.
That's what I'm about.
That's what we're about.
Feel better.
Yeah. I just want to do it on every.
You want to touch every
sphere,
every niche you can. I'm like, let me just stick with what I somewhat have a tiny bit of experience with.
I gotta focus. I gotta focus more. Just like we're talking about with the fields I'm working. Like I'm trying to touch this.
This is the case why Brandon needs to meditate. He's all over the place.
I'm a mess. The thing that brought us together is basketball, dude.
Yeah.
And you're a big Lakers guy. You pumped for the season?
Am I pumped for this season? I'm like,
yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited for the whole NBA, not just the Lakers.
It's the best league.
It's the best league ever. Yeah.
Maybe in the world right now.
Oh yeah.
Popularity.
It's
something that's enjoyed by fans,
players. The reason I stayed with
players.
basketball in my brand for so long, it's like basketball is the Hollywood of sports. Like everybody in the world, you travel anywhere, they know about basketball players. It's like Kim Kardashian is like LeBron. It's like they're on the same level of platform. And so if you can put good messages within the realm of basketball, if you can say, hey, the best basketball players are doing this, people not only in the U.S. are going to hear about it and want to do that, people all around the world are going to want to learn from these people that are at the pinnacle of success globally. It's an incredible platform that basketball has. I don't think it's soccer maybe is close, but basketball is like an incredible platform in terms of star power. It's like incredible. And this year is the epitome of all the stars just rearrange themselves. It's like never been done before. It's
That's a good way to put it.
fun.
The stars rearrange themselves.
Yeah.
That's a good title right there. I think it has a lot to do with not having helmets. There's so much more facial recognition in the sport
Less players.
that you can be.
It's a fast sport.
Somebody. You can paste somebody's face.
It's a better
on there.
sport than football.
I'm a big football guy. Like, if I wish I could have played football. I would have killed to play
You would
football.
have been a good football player. You're scrappy.
Corner,
Yeah.
halfback coming out of the
you
backfield
look
for
like a
screen
football player.
passes.
Yeah. You're dense.
Am I?
Yeah. Flex on them.
No.
Flex on them.
Best place to be is here. Nah, man, I wish I would have played, but I had this kidney disease, so I could never play. If I got hit too hard, it would rupture, and then eventually ruptured playing ball in Kuwait. So, yeah,
Gnarly.
it was tough recovery.
Gnarly.
But I'm pumped for this season. I'm pumped to go to a Lakers game, Clippers game.
Oh man, Clippers are nasty.
Who's got a better team?
Clippers?
Think so?
Yeah.
Who else they got?
I don't want to say it. When I'm a Laker fan, I have to say I hate the Clippers. But
Who else do they got besides PG and Kawhi?
Beverly, nasty dude. He's just a winner.
He's good.
I don't like him, but if he was on the Lakers, I'd love him.
I mean, he's me on the basketball court. You know,
Yeah.
just a scrapper. I'm gonna ruin your day.
They just have like solid role players. I forget the names of these guys. They got Zubac, who's on the Lakers. All these
Zubac's great.
Yeah. So
Who else?
that guy is it Carroll? I want to say.
Yeah, but I mean, the Lakers got a nice little role players too,
No, we
man.
do. We're
They
good.
scooped up Danny Green. That's a massive, massive pickup.
You think so?
40+% three-point shooter. A guy who can lock up, and you can take LeBron or any other of your wing players off, and you can say, "Hey,
I think
Danny."
we'll be solid. We'll probably make it to the second round of the playoffs.
I mean, I love Rondo. A lot of guys don't like Rondo. I mean, I love his whole career,
He stays healthy.
his
he's good.
role. What keeps knocking him out? His ankle?
Small
Is it?
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Finger, ankle,
Did they keep JaVale McGee as well?
yeah.
They got a nice little squad.
They're nice.
I mean, Kuzma's out indefinitely. Do you know what happened with that?
No.
I saw that yesterday. He's out indefinitely. That was the bottom ticker on ESPN. So
Damn. That's why you shouldn't play USA.
I think that's it.
Oh, yeah, they're playing. Maybe. Actually, no, they were back in practice, actually. Damn, that's
Yeah, training camp starts. Training camp starts up this week.
Kuzma's out.
It just said indefinitely. I didn't say maybe like a foot or something. I don't know if he had a problem with that in the
Definitely
past.
does not sound good. That means we're figuring it out. We don't know what to tell you guys.
Is he dating a Kardashian? Because that could be a thing as well.
You're just saying shit now.
No, there's a bad thing that happens when you date these women. Get your boy Lamar.
I love Lamar.
Lamar's a great guy.
Yeah.
No,
He
there's
is.
nothing bad to
He's a
say
great
about Lamar.
player, yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great player.
Yeah.
How many rings did he end up pulling out?
2.
Just 2 with the
Kobe and
Lakers?
Powell, yeah.
Are you a meta world peace guy?
I wouldn't call myself a meta world peace guy. I liked him when he was winning rings with the Lakers.
He only got 1, right?
2. Oh yeah, he was second ring. Yeah, 1. Yeah, he was funny.
You think the Rockets are going to be able to pull off?
So random. Pull off what? A win?
Pull off a
championship?
good season. They got rid of Cliff Paul.
I don't think so.
You think there's enough ball between those two?
No, I don't think that's a good fit.
No?
This is the first time I've ever talked basketball on a podcast. Ironically enough, it's cool.
We're 2 basketball guys, man.
I know. I don't think Westbrook and Harden will gel perfectly.
Who else did they keep role player wise
whole
on that
team.
team? Really?
Dude, yeah, my NBA roster knowledge is minimal right now, so don't put me on the spot too much. But they have basically the same team. I think they got worse. I think Chris Paul and Harden were a better fit because Chris Paul could like shoot set shots.
Wasn't a big Chris Paul guy ever.
No, me neither.
But after
Once
that,
he was on the Clippers, I hated him. Loved him on the Hornets.
that series though, was it 2 seasons ago when he like carried the Rockets when they were beating the Warriors 3-2 2 seasons ago,
Yeah.
and he played unbelievable
hurt,
basketball.
right?
He popped his hamstring, man.
Yeah. Been there.
You
I hurt my hamstring this year. first time.
How's that coming? Is it recovery been
It's
good?
recovered. I'm hoping again.
Been doing some of those things.
Yeah, stretching the ankle and stuff.
Yeah. That's always the biggest thing when watching sports. It's seeing those little injuries, and a lot of it stems from that core strength. Really targeting, and people get mistaken with core strength. But I think, again, the hamstring. I think the hamstring is just like.
I could be talking out of my butt, but I think Chris Paul was like. I always thought he was slightly overweight, like for his size. And he was like too bulky. He has muscle and stuff, but I was like, you don't need all that bulk. You keep pulling your hamstring. Like maybe you should shed. Like my instincts say, like you should lean up a little bit, put less load on like these micro muscles, and like don't try to be like this strong, huge arm guard. Like lose 10 pounds.
He was a stocky guy.
Yeah, he's stocky. And I was like, what if he leaned up like he did when you were in the Hornets and Clippers? And like I think he would just be more like flexible, like lighter, just less injury. Like I think it's more suitable for his position. He doesn't need all that strength. That was my theory. When he got hurt like 4 years in a row in the playoffs, that was ridiculous. Something stupid, I don't know, but
I think it definitely. Again, we were just talking about the core. I think adding the hip flexors in there. I think those are something that people just don't even know what hip flexors are. They automatically assume it's your groin.
Dude, hip flexors are so important.
Tremendous.
That's why I try not to sit in chairs, because it just shortens these guys so much. So if you sit all day and I go try to play basketball, I'm like, ooh, these are so tight.
Yeah, I used to have getting out of a car was a big thing.
Yeah,
when you're sitting back in that car and you have to rotate that hip.
Dude, everything's built for like non-proper, like not optimal
compacting
function.
us.
Yeah, they're kind of just like talk about the phones doing this, then the cars doing this, and then this podcast chair doing this. Like we're just in this depressed state all the time.
Yeah, so we gotta be proud.
Yeah, we gotta
I've
be
been proud.
People stretch it out.
But I mean, you on your show, you got your show Mind Body Hoops, and your brand Mind Body Hoops.
Yeah.
And you talk about, but I think you talk with a lot of basketball guys. And you have talked to, and talk back to this idea of the training. Like, what are they working on? Like, are they working on those little small micro muscles? And we're talking like hamstrings, hip flexors, Achilles tendons.
The people I've talked to are NBA skills trainers.
More skills, okay.
And they, my phone stopped recording. That's okay. Goodbye, phone.
We had a time limit on there. Wow, I didn't know stories. That's
I didn't think they would follow that. So I talked to NBA skills trainers.
Okay.
And they kind of just stay in their lane. So if I were to ask them about the body, they'd be like, they got these NBA guys have a guy for this and that and this and that and that. So these guys I've talked to, like Jordan Lawley, Alex Bazell, Marcus Hodges, all these guys, they're all, for the most part, like skills trainers. So they work on literally just like micro skills, like, skills, the offensive side of the game for the most part. What I've heard from, which is interesting.
Yeah, I know Brickley has like his own guy, Chris Brickley, trainer out of New York.
Yeah.
Like I see he's got always his own guy who works on stuff individually with them.
Yeah, I've never met Chris, but like Alex Bazell, he was awesome. He was the most recent. He just stuck to the on court stuff, but then of course every trainer has to deal with the mindset stuff. That's why I love to talk to these guys, because like they're basically life coaches as well as trainers. They got to deal with the whole complexity of an NBA athlete, which is fascinating.
Yeah, there's been this weird movement. It's not necessarily what your experience is as a basketball coach, but kind of like it has to be this overall all-encompassing individual who can not just be almost like, I wouldn't say a friend, but like, you said it perfectly, like dealing with the overall psyche of a basketball player.
Yeah.
Building this relationship with them. I think a lot of these really successful trainers have just built like really interesting relationships with these guys.
Yeah.
That it's not just about basketball.
It's a good point. That's all it's about, is the relationships.
Yeah.
It starts with the relationship. Oh, you can help me a little bit. Let's see that. And then, oh, you can help me. Let me help you. Have you help me, like my friends who are also NBA players, and then this isn't any example, but like that's kind of how it happens for a lot of these guys. It seems like it just starts with one, then it's two, then it's three, and then it's you're in. There's something to learn about that.
It happens to one of my teammates.
Genuine good relationships with people. Help them any way you can. Don't expect too much in return, and see what happens in 5 years.
As Gary Vaynerchuk says, provide exorbitant amount of value for people. But it actually happened to the Syracuse guy. I forgot where he was interning out here this summer. May have been David. Not sure. His name is Sean Belby at Syracuse University. Who's the guy who trains Bradley Beal and all them?
Drew Hanlon.
So he was working with Drew. I think Drew's a Cuse guy, actually, as well. I'd met him before. But anyways, he had been in the gym, ran into Isaiah Thomas a bunch of times, and just went up to Isaiah. Hey, man, noticed this about your game, Love to get in there, rebound, get some shots up with you. And apparently Isaiah Thomas works with nobody. Like, he doesn't train with anybody. Like, does his own thing. Yeah, sure, man. Hey, man, what's up? Comes in the gym again. How you doing? You're doing this. You're training. Hey, I'd love to give you some more pointers on this. Goes, no, I'm good, man. Just gets a phone call one day. Hey, you still down to shoot and train with me? Come out here at this time. A week later, hey, I got to go to Beijing. Can you get on this jet with me? I need somebody to shoot me and train me out there. And now he's training, I'd say, at Thomas. Still in college. Like,
crazy.
Where it amounts to. It's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Yeah, being in the right place and right time. And that's the thing with production, jobs. There's always gonna be a spot to fill, and you got to get out there and fill that spot. That is.
I would step back and I would say you don't have to like go out there and fill that spot. You just got to like do what you think is what's the right move for you. You got to be you. This is my advice to myself. Be you completely. Fill the shoes you want to fill before there maybe is a hole for you. Be really good with people. Talk to as many people as possible. Provide value, like you said, and eventually your kind of like shoes that you've just kind of settled into for yourself will become, oh, that was actually a hole I filled and I didn't even realize it, if that makes sense.
No. What more I was saying is like...
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just like, I like to rephrase stuff for myself.
You got to actually just go out there and be in those positions where someone's going to say, oh, hey, you do this. We need somebody to do this job. You know what to do. And acquiring that thing, once you're learning the job, you're learning the skill, you're learning the occupation. Because I think a lot of people, when they go out and they listen to, not self-help, or they go to these conventions or talk, we were just at a podcast festival as well. And people are asking questions. Well, how do I do this? And I do that. I think a lot of people are just really hesitant of dipping their toes in the water sometimes. They're nervous about... what's that thing? That validation. Like, even though it's their vision, it's their idea, it's their social media page. It's not anybody else's page. They can put whatever they want on there.
Yeah. People
are going to come see who they are and see what they're about.
Yeah.
People are nervous and scared about that.
For sure.
Where does that come from?
When was I scared to dip in? Right now. I just got a rent in Venice Beach. I signed it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's like I'm trying to think of, I asked myself, when was the last time I felt nervous to step into something fully? And it's like right now. I don't know what that is. It's like, I think fear of change, the unknown, the new. There's a chance it doesn't work out. And I'm reading this book, Courage by Osho, and he has these quotes that are
Osho.
He's the man.
Love
So
it.
sick, but it's like the familiar is kind of like dead, and it's like maybe it's known, but it's a dead version of you. It's like stale, it's old. So whether the first step or stepping 2 feet in is going to work out or not, you owe it to yourself to kind of just like keep doing it and keep doing the thing that'll make you alive, because whether you fail or not, it's going to make you learn. It's going to make you progress in the direction you want to go. If you're just to stay wherever you are and be like, I don't want to do that, you're kind of just staying with this dead, familiar, mediocre version of what you kind of want. That's what I'm telling myself. So I'm like, oh, I got this rent. This is a big rent. I can afford it now, but hopefully everything stays great. I'm just telling myself, like, if it doesn't work out, I'll figure it out. And I would be miserable if I just stayed where I am now, knowing I could progress and I could step 2 feet in. Like, it's choosing, as Osho would put it, like the dead familiar or like the alive new unknown.
What's the name of this book?
Courage. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know Osho, spiritual leader, India.
I don't know how I found him. I read his 3 of his books before that documentary came out.
Yeah, Wild Wild Country.
That thing is crazy, that documentary. But
oh yeah, that woman, Mashila.
Yeah, she's crazy.
She's nuts.
I'm down with Osho. I think he's like a really progressive spiritual leader who wasn't dogmatic. He wasn't like, you need to believe in this or that or this. He kind of just was, and he did have like a cult-like following, but it wasn't because he was like a cult-like leader. He
got a little ego at the end when he came out of silence.
Yeah, I got an ego. You got an ego.
But it's great when people, like you said, look at this figure in a dogmatic way.
But he wasn't dogmatic, which is the funny part.
But people saw him like, oh, this is my leader. I need to give my money and go here and do that. He wasn't asking for all that. No, the Mashila thing, it's kind of like, hey, we need you to give this money. We need to build this compound.
Yeah.
And this whole mixed message about who was in control.
I'm going to go live again.
Perfect.
Keep it coming.
So, like, who was in control and who was live? who was live, excuse me. But it was funny because when she left and she bailed on everybody and he came out of silence, it was so funny listening to the ego come out of him and like defending himself and this and that. And my thing is like, I don't look at these people as over pious people. You know, I look at them as humans. You know, we all have our flaws, and we all got our shit. And so the funniest thing from that doc was just like, you know, she left and she didn't even say goodbye to me. She didn't even say goodbye. It's incredible. But he has one of my favorite quotes by him. Someone asked him about religion, and it was just the most beautiful, hilarious thing I've ever heard in my life. I asked him about believing in God. He goes, I do not believe in believing. Just so simple. Just
yeah, he's cool. I have his books. Like if I need something, like if I'm going through a weird phase, I'll look at my bookshelf and be like, which book would help me right now? And like with this transition of moving and stuff, I'm like, ooh, Courage. That's exactly. And I've been just flipping through it. And I go through and I see my old shit that I highlighted, and I'm like, that is perfect. That's exactly what I needed. It's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, that'd be a good book to go through, like a book of short thoughts. I just bought Paradise Lost. Have you heard of that one?
Mm-mm.
Who is it by? 16th, 17th century John Milton something. And it's like a whole 10,000 line poem about the Garden of Eden. It's called Paradise Lost.
That's cool.
And so just going through reading an excerpt of there.
That's nice.
Talking about falling from paradise in the Garden of Eden. So like weird shit, I wouldn't say weird shit like that, but you know, something to reflect back on, to get a whole new perspective.
We were talking about meditation. Reading is a meditation.
It is.
Like to be able to sit down and read is your mind will drift and then you got to bring it back. And then your mind will drift and then you got to bring it back. And that art, that bringing it back is like it's like a meditation. It's like strengthening your ability to come back to focus to what you're in front of, so that when you're it's like strengthening the concentration muscle, so that when we're working, instead of reaching for the phone, we want to reach for, I'll come back. Mm-hmm. Reading is like a very peaceful way for me to do that.
Yeah.
Like those first 5 minutes, I'm kind of struggling, but then I get in that flow state and I can read for 20 minutes and I'm like, ooh, 20 minutes just flew by. It was awesome.
Do you read on a tablet at all, or do you read strictly paper?
My dad loves the tablets and stuff, but I love paper. I love to feel the book, and I like to mark it up with highlighter. And then my bookshelf is like one of my prized possessions, as nerdy as it sounds. Like,
I bought 6 books this week, man.
Dude, it's the best. It's like gets you excited when you get a new book. Like, ooh, I'm gonna absorb this. Like this person's life work is gonna be in my brain soon. This person put years and years into this book to get a message across, and now I'm gonna be able to absorb this in a week or two. And now I'll just be like a leveled up version of myself. And so my bookshelf, I look at it and I'm like, man, like I have almost 4 stacks now over the last few years that I've read. Like my top shelf is not read and then the rest are read. And I get to look at it and be like, ooh, like I remember when I was going through when I read that book. I remember what kind of like the takeaways were from that book. And then like I said, if I'm going through something now, I'm like, what book would I be able to look back on now and just kind of flip through, and it'll help me, give me the wisdom I need for like this moment of time. So that's why I go paper, man. I cannot do tablet unless I gotta read it quick. Like I have a podcast. Mm-hmm. I'm like, ooh, I got a podcast with you. Like I gotta read your book within a day. I'll just download it, read it, and then have that guest on my show.
When I read a lot on this one tablet I had. I've had it for like 3 or 4 years, but I've gone back to paper. It's like I can't go back to the tablet, man.
Really?
Getting on paper, it's like
yeah.
It's a whole new, like you said, that form of concentration, or maybe I'm just getting, over a
little more mindful,
a transition in life that I can just, getting back in that paper, getting that meditation, like
flipping through a book is
me. You can imagine I got 4 books going right now.
Dude, I'm the same way. I get too excited. Like I buy faster than I can read, so I'm like reading 4 or 5 books at the same time. It's whatever mood I'm in. I'm like, ooh, I'm in the mood for this one or this one. So.
Are you familiar with Graham Hancock?
No.
I feel like you'd be a fan of him. He's a British journalist turned writer and researcher, and still works on a lot of journalism stuff, uncovering civilization's lost past and lost history of our civilization pre Mesopotamia, but also just incredible insight and then the storytelling and this historical fiction books he has. And I just got the third sequence of it. The fourth one's coming out, and oh man, it's about the conquest of Spain between Cortez and the Spanish.
You do love history.
Oh man, but this one, the amount of storytelling he adds into the real, actual historical figures.
Yeah.
And then he's a guy who's very open about his use of psychoactive substances. So cannabis, DMT, psilocybin mushrooms. And he talks about the practices with the Native Americans using those things and the imagery he puts in with his, talking about Montezuma taking these psilocybin mushrooms. And it's like, it's just so well, the picture is painted so beautifully.
Wow.
About the substance and everything.
Cool.
It's, yeah.
Cool, man.
Massive stuff. He talks, there's a few books about spirituality as well. And, check on his stuff. He's been on Rogan a few times.
Cool. I like to listen to a talk of an author before I read them, so I'll do that.
Oh yeah, and he's got British voice, something so alluring, so smooth.
My last sip.
Yeah, coffee refill. How many cups of coffee are you putting down today?
I'm trying to limit it to 2. Talk about addiction. I love coffee, man. I love it. I love the taste. I love just like the ritual of it in the morning. But if I wasn't mindful of my consumption, I could drink 5 cups in a day, but I won't, or else I'll just be crazy. Yeah. So I do like half cups. Half cups. Trying to keep it to 1. Honestly, just trying to keep it to 1, but it's really like 2 right now. Yeah, I'll get it down. Sometimes I'll take like a week break, and then it'll be really hard, and then I'll come back and have half a cup, and it'll make me spracked, and that's always fun.
Yeah. What's amazing is we were talking about the sugar addiction with that, and like how much people don't see caffeine as a drug, or all these like local corner stores.
Yeah.
With caffeine coffee.
How people don't see anything as a drug, like phone, caffeine, sugar, bread. Try to cut bread out. You'll notice you're addicted to bread.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice you're addicted to sugar. You notice you're addicted to scrolling on your phone before bed and when you wake up. You're addicted to caffeine. Like, try to stop the things you do, and you're like, oh no, I'm no different than you. That's why I empathize with like people who struggle with real addictions that fuck up their life. I'm like, I don't have that, but I can look at you and be like, I get you, because I can't go 5 days without my phone, and that's like probably how, say you're someone else, that you have that dealing with like a drug addiction. I'm like, damn, that. Luckily, my addiction to my phone and to sugar and to coffee doesn't fuck up my life. But I can empathize, and I think everybody could probably, this is off topic, but people could probably empathize more often if they kind of looked at themselves and were like, I got that too,
Totally.
I got that too.
I mean, the sugar one's insane because people will sugary sweeten their coffee in order to take in that caffeine. So they're like cutting their drugs to get double the drugs of 2 different varieties.
I love some sugar after a meal. Like after I finish a healthy meal, I always want like a piece of chocolate.
Have you had a keto brownie I make up there?
No, let's get the keto brownie going.
Oh yeah, 1 gram of sugar.
Wow.
1 gram of sugar, and I'm making it a fudge now.
Wow.
So it's like
this guy can cook, people.
I
can cook.
I gotta give you one of those. Brian, you've had one of those, right? 2 thumbs up? He only gave me 1 thumbs up, but I know deep down it was 2 right there. The validation. What's another one? People don't even look at porn as an addiction. I think that's massive addiction.
I feel like people look at that as an addiction. I feel like that's like the hot trend.
I think the availability to go out and get sexual gratification and to release.
We've talked about masturbation twice on this episode. Brian.
I have. I think it's a massive problem.
No, I'm just messing.
Being able to sexually gratify yourself that often.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, instant gratification of any kind.
Well, I think it's not ruining, but it's really dampening social connection with people in society and life. And we talk about just the phone in general, but you add the availability to go on your phone and go to a porn website. Why would I go talk to a woman? Why would a woman go talk to a man? And it just takes away. And then I've been back on these dating apps now. Oh man. It's like, hey, I'm so busy in real life, I guess I have to meet somebody through my phone rather than meeting somebody in real life. Really?
I wonder how that'll be in 10 years, What do you think?
I think there's not going to be a population problem. A lot of people say, oh, planet's going to be at 9.5 billion people by 2050. I really don't think there's going to be the population problem. I think we're going to have such a hard time of people actually wanting to procreate.
Whoa. All right.
You?
That's a hot take. 10 years, 20 years, maybe we'll have. What do I think about what? What's your question?
Population problem, procreating.
I don't think that'll be an issue.
I don't think it would be an issue in still countries that are, I hate using the term developing or third world, but population, on the rise, not a problem in any of those places. But look at
maybe it'll be survival of the fittest, where people who still crave human interaction are the ones that procreate, and the people that kind of get stuck into the addiction of technology will stop procreating, and their genes will kind of cut off there. That's a hot take right there too. I'm just thinking of this on the spot. I've never thought of this.
This is perfect. This is bus driver experience.
What is tell my IG? What is the bus driver experience? How would you encapsulate it in one sentence?
Well,
what is your show about?
I'm the bus driver.
I'm the guest.
I'm the bus driver, and I'm going to take you on an experience with incredible guests through an audio version, audio storytelling. We're going to capture how you see the world.
Do you edit your podcast?
No, it's
all going on.
This is all going on.
Okay.
This is all going through.
Your show, your road, man.
Straight shot, straight through.
Straight
and so,
shooter.
yeah, I take people on an incredible journey through my lens of how I see my guests. They're interesting takes.
How do you see me?
How do I see you?
Yeah.
Well, I got to finish telling about the show. I'm in the middle of the pitch.
I said one sentence. This was like 4.
Did he say one sentence? Can we roll that back?
Yeah, well, it was one sentence. I know how to reel you in, brother.
Oh, man.
Why
How do I
you
see you?
Yeah, and then I'll ask you a follow-up question from there, yeah.
Okay. I see you as an interesting character. One sentence. I can't go any further. I'd like to, but...
Nice. Interesting character.
May
I don't think I'm as interesting.
May I?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm very, very interested and fascinated, especially people in the field of entrepreneurship and people who are in the idea of really beating their own drum. I think a lot of people don't do that. I think a lot of people are very not comfortable, but they're limited to who they are. And so I'm just fascinated. A lot of people who are able to create their own realities, create their own worlds, and especially someone who lived the very nomadic lifestyle. You were just popping in this van not too long ago, living out of that. I did that with this school bus. I've done that just as a backpacking traveler. Just, hey, let's buy this van. We're going to head down the Chilean coast. I don't really know you, but you guys want to come with? And being able to connect, and the fact that can be life, Anything that's going on right there, the people that you are with are the only people that know who you are, the only people that really you connect with and matter. You have a cell phone connection, the rest of the world. So the fact that people are brave enough, to take on that entrepreneurship, to take on that every day where you really don't know sometimes what direction it's going to go, where it's going to be. And that could be people on different scales and levels of success. I have Olympic boxers on this show. I have a carnivore medical doctor, who's just advocating eating red meat and thinks there's a vegan conspiracy going on and green agenda, and he's going to battle and fight it. He's created a life for himself that he can go out and do that. I think that's incredible. I think that's someone who's playing the game of reality and life just really interesting. And that's why
now you see why I gave him one sentence, huh?
Yeah, don't let me go.
I'm just kidding. I love it, man. We talked about Osho and courage, and that's basically what your show's about, is not falling back into staleness and people who embrace the wild unknown.
Yeah, it's stressful.
A little more efficient way of speaking.
It's stressful when you don't have the scale and level of success as some of the guests I had on my show. But I just want to be that light for people to say, hey, I can do this.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not the noble, successful, adventurous guy, but I got fucking really, really, really big courage, and I'm gonna go out there and battle and fight.
I love it, man.
Yeah, but I don't want that to be stubbornness, because I think stubbornness is something that really overshades it, and overcasts over it, and that's something I got to work on. So,
good for you for knowing that, man.
Yeah. That's the toughest part, is being aware and being so aware that you got to continuously work through it.
Where do you think the stubbornness comes from?
It's family thing. Mom, dad, they were entrepreneurs, always had their own business, always did their own thing, and
big shoes to fill.
No, they weren't big shoes to fill. The crazy thing is, I want to ask you this. I explain to my parents what I do. They have no idea what I do.
Yeah.
I probably think my mom or dad think I'm like a drug dealer or something. They're like, how do you make money? What do you do? What's a podcast?
Yeah, my parents are the same way. They're like, they probably think, no, they haven't. They are like, oh, Max does video. He does videos, and he has a blog. It's called hoops or something, you know, like that's how my mom puts it for sure. But yeah, they don't really know because they don't have social media or anything.
Social media and just if you think about technology, I mean, I don't think my parents actually know it works. My dad's an unreal Facebooker. He probably has some of the best engagement I've seen on a Facebook page in forever, but that's because he's got an older audience and he just talks about Trump on there. And it's like, you can't post that, man. What are you doing? I'm not going to take it there. I'm not going to take it there.
Sorry, people.
So what is Mind Body Hoops? How did you come up with that name? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
It was started as Hooper Hacks.
Hooper Hacks. Good pivot.
It was, I started it as a blog, and I wanted to talk about the ins and outs of the mind and the body and related to performance. And basketball was my background, so I was like, let's make it specifically about basketball. I wrote some blog posts and decided, I need some people to read these blogs, so I better make an Instagram account. And then I got obsessed with trying to grow that Instagram account, and I kind of left the blog by the wayside. And then I always had Mind Body Hoops as the kind of the tagline of Hooper Hacks. I just thought Hooper Hacks was clever, and then I just switched it to Mind Body Hoops. What is Mind Body Hoops? It's I call it just a page where I have been studying mind body performance. It started as me sharing what I knew about like getting better as a basketball player, especially on the mind and physical side, and then now it's kind of evolved into me progressing as a professional and still treating myself as an athlete and becoming better mind body wise and sharing what I learn with the audience that's trying to get better at their craft. My craft right now, I would say, is like being healthy, happy, and doing well professionally, and then my audience is mostly athletes, so people who are trying to become the best athletes they can.
Where did the whole mental health thing come in there? I know you really, really focus on that area.
Mental health. Out of basketball, I finished playing, and I moved across the country back to my home state of California, and then things just slowed down. I wasn't an athlete anymore, and I had to be like, now what do I do with my life? And so depression kind of was a part of my family history with my sister, my younger brother, my mom. My mom had like a medical background, so she would always label it, that's depression. Oh, that's this. You were probably born with that. And she would tell that to my siblings. And then when I felt that for the first time when I finished playing basketball, it had maybe been there my whole life. I had always been a little anxious. But like when you play basketball 5 hours a day, you're moving so much, it's really hard to like be anxious when you're exhausted and you're working hard all the time. So life slowed down, and I got a little like sad, little like directionless, and through that I had to learn how to take care of myself for the first time and started reading books. And I had never liked reading books, and it's actually funny. I was like, okay, I'm done with basketball, so now I'll be an entrepreneur. And so I was like, okay, I studied Steve Nash and Kobe to be better at basketball. Now I'm going to study like Tim Ferriss, who I like, and I'm going to study Steve Jobs. Let's see how they became who they are. And I would learn about them, and I'm like, they both are super into meditation. Like, they must be crazy hippies. And so I bought a meditation book. I'm like, let's just see what this is about, and I loved it. And I loved the book. And it was the first time I'd enjoyed reading, and so I tried meditation, and it didn't like change my life overnight, but it was the first time that I was like, ooh, I feel like I'm back in the driver's seat a little bit. Like I was just a little bummed out dude in this sad, lonely apartment in San Diego. And now I'm like, I'm feeling I got hope again. Like I feel in control. So the mental health stuff came just through my own personal journey and dealing with acute small versions of things like being depressed and anxious. But I think a lot of athletes, as they transition out of the sport, experience that. And then it became, I didn't even share what I had known about the stuff for a while. My page was so much still about just like motivation and like take care of your body, and here's some skills you can learn in basketball. And then finally I started sharing about meditation, and then people really started to gravitate towards it. Didn't blow up or anything, but like I would get messages regularly of people reaching out to me saying like, dude, I'm in school, I'm really depressed, and your posts made me meditate for 10 days, and I just feel a lot better. Like I just had a talk with my coach, like, hey man, I'm really depressed, and I started journaling, and it really fucking helped, thank you. And like these messages started to pour in. Like I would get maybe one every other day, which for me, every other day getting someone tell you that you really changed their life for the better was like as small of a scale as I felt like I was doing it on with only like 20,000 followers. I was like, dude, this is epic. This is awesome. And so I had all my other professional stuff going on, but on the side here was me able to share my mental health and performance tips that I had learned myself with an audience that I felt like was receptive. Like these were kids being like, I want to get better at basketball. I'm willing to do what it takes. Here's meditation. Here's journaling. Here's these mental health things that have helped me. They're now doing it to be a better athlete. They're not texting me about how it's helped them on the court. They're texting me about how, dude, I got in a huge fight with my mom. I was super upset. I journaled about it, and now I feel so much better. And all these different things of people reaching out with like incredible, like there's so much. These kids go deep, and so to be able to help them in any way was like the biggest gift. So that's really how Mind Body Hoops kept going. Like I didn't have enough traction to kind of like make it my whole life, but because these kids were reaching out in the back end telling me all these things and getting real personal with me and feeling like they know me, I was like, I love this. I'm going to keep doing this.
As someone who's dealt with depression, do you think it's more of like hereditary, or it's more of like it can be created?
It's situational, I think. Coming from a background with a mom who I think maybe people are predisposed to it. You know, like if you have issues in your health, like obviously it's easier to, if you're tired, it's easy to be depressed. So if you have a genetic thing that makes you really tired all the time, you're going to be depressed more because you're going to be low. So when I get tired still, I'm like, ooh, I'm getting a little depressed. I'm like, oh, I'm just tired. So I think anybody who has things that make them extra tired, extra low, extra fatigued, it's easier to be depressed. My mom came from the medical background, and she would be labeling all these things as genetic.
What's her background in medicine?
She was a social worker.
Okay.
But she was also a psychoanalyst or psychotherapist or something like that too. But mostly like a social worker. But so everything was genetic, and I was like, I don't know. And even I never have said this, but like, dude, after I graduated college, it got to the point. I wouldn't say I've dealt with depression. I have had depressed periods, which I think every human has, and I think it's super normal. And I think those times teach us a lot. Like, you're not happy with your life right now for a reason. So if you did a complete 180 of your life, maybe you'd get better. But the issue that I had was like, ooh, I'm like this. And then I have my mom telling me, oh, you're born like that. Let's fix that. Let's take you to the doctor. I go to the doctor. Within 5 minutes, he said, hey, you ever sad? I'm like, yeah. Do you ever have trouble sleeping? I'm like, yeah. Do you ever get nervous in social settings? Yeah. He's like, okay, sounds like, yeah, you got some genetic depression and anxiety. He signs me, gives me a medication, and I walk away within 10 minutes. Doesn't ask me about my diet, my lifestyle. Doesn't ask me if I have good friends in my corner. Doesn't ask if I have any purpose in my life. Doesn't ask about my sleep schedule. Doesn't ask if I've been exercising. Signs me off with a medication. I go home. I take an antidepressant for probably 5 days, and then I said, this doesn't feel right. I'm going to stop. And I just started doing more research, and just realizing that, like, man, like, it's just a really crazy time where so many people are on SSRIs, which are antidepressants.
Yeah.
Both my siblings were on it. My older sibling had been on it for 10 years. She was prescribed it when she was 15. She was 25 at this point. And doing so much more research, there's this woman who's really leading in this space her name is Kelly Brogan. Her work's amazing. And it's like these drugs basically just are so specific to help you with like the most acute brain chemistry issue.
Yeah, SSRIs are tricky ones because for some people they're necessary, like to really work with that brain chemistry on giving the right chemical.
And yeah, and I don't want to say they're bad blanketly, but
yeah.
I'm saying like if you give your brain this like chemical boost in one specific area only and do that for years and years, like my sister for 10 years, your brain stops producing that kind of stuff that it needs. It becomes dependent, just like with coffee, or we're talking like addiction, like you get addicted to that SSRI and now your mind literally cannot produce the chemicals that SSRI is supposed to help you with. So the plan with these medications is, here you go, you're on this for life now. There's no exit plan with these. So I started taking it and I was like, what's the exit plan? And then I went to him and I said, hey, I'm not going to take this. But he's like, oh, you know what? We'll probably give you another one. He would try to stack them. And it's just this messy industry. I'm going off the rails here a little bit, but all this to say, I think there's not enough emphasis on like, how's your life? How's like the basic fundamental things that make a human happy? You and I, talk about like ancient humans almost. And I've loved to like learn about anthropology and how that kind of correlates with psychology and mental health. If you look at like an ancient human, you'll kind of realize, oh, we've strayed so far from that. Maybe that's a couple of my issues, like mental health wise. So for me, part of my mental health routine has not just been meditation and journaling anymore. It's like, am I getting outside enough? Am I getting sunlight? Am I being around humans enough? If you think about like an ancient tribe, they were always together. They were looking each other in the eyes, getting this oxytocin, like this love and connection chemical. Oh, okay, I'm safe because I have people around me. And I was the type that it was very easy for me to not be around people enough, or it was easy to just be on my computer and working, or I wouldn't get outside all day because I had to grind. And these are recipes for unhappiness and depression. The phone is a recipe for depression and anxiety. So there's all these things that I think definitely people are predisposed to. Yeah, you gotta like work harder. I think I'm predisposed to maybe be a little more anxious and low. I get fatigued really easily because I'm so high strung that I often crash hard. But I think a big part of my journey, and I'm still learning how to do this the best way possible, is to be the best I can be and to live the example as to like I can place my mental health and well-being above everything else, and I can still be a professional, and I can still have a good career, and I can still have a lot of fun, and I can still, but look, you don't have to, maybe shove your mental health to the side for the sake of your career and then blame it on your genetics and then go get a prescription then now you're in a wormhole and you're stuck. So before you maybe take that medication that's a little bit irreversible, if you go like for a month or 2 months, I think it's a really great idea, I've heard, because it can kind of get you out of that dark place and kind of get you, and then maybe get off of them. But for people who are on them for years, it's like it's a crutch that now is a part of your anatomy and everything. So I went off the rails there, but it's something I'm really passionate about. It's close to my family. It's something I've dealt with. And Mind Body Hoops is this weird niche way for me to, I feel like, in my early stages of my own journey, kind of feed that, No,
I think it's massive. Like you said, someone having the courage, so to say, to reach out to you and just ask you, or, hey, I'm feeling depressed. I don't like where I am. I don't like my life, That's, the strong proponent and the great thing about social media, that, even messages I get from people from all around the world, watch the show or talk here or in India, just, the fact that you give somebody attention and the fact that you validate them and just recognize, hey, I see you, you're there. Like I said, we have all these tools to communicate, but we're just lacking, Giving people eye contact is such a odd and strange thing now. But, people really, really gain this sense of comfortability with you when you're able to give them that attention and actually just care. I think that's just the number one thing.
Yeah.
To be a good leader and, a good speaker, it's not just acting like you care, but I mean, if you care and you can show people that you're engaged with them, it's...
Yeah. And another thing on caring is huge. For me, there's this guy that came on my podcast that has been such a gift to me to learn from afar, is Eric Godsey. He's he's a psychoanalyst or a psychology nut as well, and he talks about like to be a leader really comes down to just like not turning away from the shit you're going through, step into it full force, and then also to really be a leader and what you're going through and help other people with the same is just being honest about it and being open about it. And like he's someone I look up to in that sense. And so when you're saying like, yeah, I care about the people in my circle and that are reaching out to me, but maybe I wouldn't have cared if they never reached out because I don't know they're there. But my version of trying to be a leader now is maybe stepping away from like, here, do this, do this, do this. It's like, here's what I have that I face every day, and here's like what I'm doing to work on it every day.
I think the biggest, the thing to focus on is being vulnerable and being open, like you say, and expressing how you feel and telling, whether it's a friend, a buddy, or even someone on social media, just saying, hey, listen, I don't feel good. I don't like this. Kind of writing those things down or even bring them to the surface. I don't like the people I'm around.
Yeah,
I'm not getting exercise. I'm not getting this. And when you can see those things, I have a good friend, and she was in a bad spot, and she was like not sure, wanted to go back in the situation she was in. And I was like, hey, just write down everything. Write down everything you like and write down everything you don't like. And so she wrote it all down. She's like, oh my God. Like, I don't want to go back to that. I can't do that. Yeah. And it was just, again, when you're coaching or just being a friend to somebody, you don't want to tell them what to do. Just push them in the right direction.
That's a great piece of advice. Write it down.
Yeah.
I tell everybody to do the same thing. I got to remind that of myself sometimes. It's like, I got a lot going on in this head. What happens if I write it all down, and then you write it all down, and it's like, oh, that's really clear. That's really like, it's as if you're helping someone else now. And it's really it's easy for me to give you advice, but it's hard for me to take my own advice or even give myself advice.
Likewise.
So when you get it on paper, though, it's like as if you're giving yourself third-person advice, and it's incredible. You're like, oh, I see that seems like a big issue, but really in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big issue, Max, or whatever it is.
And you have your show, Mind Body Hoops. You're at 48 episodes. How long have you been doing this show?
Wow, good.
You're
got it.
Well, I'm managing your show now, so I know how many episodes you got now.
This is my new podcast producer, people. He's a really talented producer. So I have 48 shows. I probably have 60 recorded. So a lot coming. A lot of good stuff coming. I've been really slow on the publishing because I'm doing a brand change. But I started this in November. So almost a year, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm about 3 years into podcasting itself.
By the time I get to a year, I'll have 52 at least. So
October 1st, 2016. So what is it? September 27th.
Nice.
I'll be at
cool, man.
Wow, 3 years of showing, man.
Cool.
It's a crazy space.
Cool, man.
I love it.
It's
Such a
the
unique
best.
way to touch your audience.
Yeah.
What's been the way that you've reached your audience the best through the show itself, not just social media, but like podcasting? What's been the best?
How have I reached them?
Yeah. How have they been a part of your show? How have they been reaching you? And how have they been what would be the word? Not inspiring you, but how have they been a part of the process?
Just when they DM me, and I had someone DM me today that was listening to some old episode that was like from week number 2 of like months and months ago. And so I think that's one of the coolest things for me is people reaching out and giving me just like, hey man, I listened to this one and wow, it really helped me. And just like, it's so simple. It's like those little messages of encouragement is about the amount of interaction I have with my audience in terms of the podcast. It's cool because I have so much fucking love for podcasting. Sitting down with someone, I get to be able to go and talk to these incredible people. I get to talk to authors of the books I love. I get to talk to doctors and MBA trainers and all these amazing people. And then I get to share that. And if no one ever listened to it, I would be doing this. And then I get to have some kid message me about a podcast I did months ago that maybe I didn't think was so good. And he reaches, and I'm like, oh, that's an old one that's not so good. He reaches out today, says, dude, I just listened to this. I'm a fan now. I'm stoked. Like, I'm going to implement this and this and this. This is what I learned from you and from the guest. And I'm like, ooh, that's a nice feeling. But that's how I interact with my I don't really do, it sounds stupid, but I don't do it for them, the podcast. I do it for more me and my guests, but it's like a great bonus that they get something out of it.
Well, I think we just haven't been able to measure influence. But like you getting to talk to these people and that person reaching out to you, like that's influence.
Yeah.
And we just haven't been able to, measure, the metric of audio influence to say like, hey, this is where this actually provides value in people's life, and this is what it's worth.
Yeah.
Again, I had the same thing. Some guy messaged me yesterday about an old On the Bus podcast episode on barefoot movement, talking with some guy who's a doctor, a podiatrist in Florida, and he was like, "Oh my God, this show!" and he's literally like quoting like chunks of the episode.
Isn't that the best?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just to make somebody feel better. Just to, I'm not making any money off that thing. It's just like, wow.
What do you like in a podcast as a listener?
As a listener?
Yeah.
And
how do you try to deliver that in your own podcast? I think I've been working with podcasters. We just launched a course. I launched a course, and I'm stoked to have Brandon as a part of it on the tech side of it. So how to start a podcast. Little plug right there.
Yeah, check it out.
And before launching, I kind of helped a solid amount of people with theirs, like for free, just saying, hey, check out my course before I launch this, make sure it's all good. And I've been walking them through, and it's almost been like a cool now relationship with these people. A lot of them are asking for advice as to like how to format or how to deliver certain things. And I'm like, dude, listen to how you listen to podcasts, put yourself in that seat, and like, what do you like about a podcast? Write that down. What do you like about a podcast title that you think is dope? Write that down. What do you think about a podcast image that you think is dope? Write that down. how do you like the conversations formatted? How do you like the direction to go? And then make that your show, man. Like, make what you think is cool, and you're going to have a lot more fun, and you're going to make a show that at the end of the day, if no one likes it, you're going to be like, that's dope. That's cool. So I'm curious to see, like, what you think you like in shows as a podcast listener, and how do you try to make that happen in your show?
I break it down even simpler to what you said. It's just like social media. Like, we're talking about your page, like whether it's Max McCoy or Mind Body Hoops or Brandon Reese. Like, okay, people are coming there to see me. They can go click on any other page online, but they follow me, they like the post or video. They're coming there because they like the stuff, the content that I'm putting on that page. If someone's listening to the show, and the thing you have to do to grow an audio audience, of course you have to market with video content to drag someone over to listen to you talk.
That is funny.
It's very tough. It's why the podcast downloads 140 in the first week is 50% top percentile of shows. It's very hard to scale and grow these shows. There's a million podcasts out there. There's a million podcasts ever created. So how do you get people in? It's all about you as the individual, as the show host, as the guest.
Yeah, I guess
you have to be comfortable with yourself. You have to go on there, and you have to, like, do what Max says. You have to be able to say, okay, how am I as a producer going to go after my guest, what they're about, what I want to hear, and how do I deliver it back to the audience? Because the audience is coming here to listen to me, and they're ready to come on the journey with me to take them there. Don't want to come off self-centered, but that's why people are listening for you as a host. How do I make it engaging? How do I make this relevant for someone listening in Bangladesh? How do I make this relevant for someone listening in Brazil and United States?
I guess that's a sexy answer. It's like that's a nice answer. But, like, I'm curious about literally what do you like about a podcast, and do you do that in your own process?
Yes.
Like,
so for example,
sounds like that was like the end product. I want it to come off cool. I want people to know all over the world. I want
not to come off cool. I want that I'm going to go out there. I'm going to create something, because that's, again, like you said, there's the selfish aspect that you're going out there to create, and you're going out there to talk to crazy people.
Do you follow people that you think are really cool and do that? Not, I keep saying cool, but do you listen to podcasts of, like, travelers, of people who, like, give off that vibe and kind of bring you on this ride, and you want to do something similar, or are you kind of trying to create your own lane? Or
Absolutely.
I'm just curious.
Like Rogan's podcast, again, a lot of people's first podcasts they usually find and get into.
Well, he's great.
And
for a reason.
Yeah.
I try to learn from him too.
He does such a great job. People forget he comes from a background of entertainment. You know, being in a play-by-play commentator of the UFC, having his own show on Fear Factor and a bunch of other shows he's done. Like, he's been in this space for a long time. He's a great interviewer, and he comes off so coy sometimes, like asking the right simple little question. So
because he comes off genuinely curious, yeah, and he's not really trying to interview; he's just talking.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted, on the bus driver experience always to be, is my take on bringing someone on, and you're going to get the perspective of me having this conversation.
I wish I asked you that before. I would have been maybe more open to some of the U-turns you took. It's cool. It's great. Because I use, like, someone like Joe. I try to take, like, his ability to just, like, have a casual conversation. I love that. Mm-hmm. And he reminds me, okay, I don't need to try to be anything but myself. But then I love the format of, like, Aubrey Marcus, Tim Ferriss, these guys who have, like, a very specific angle to the podcast, so that the listener, I love getting on a podcast and knowing exactly what I'm listening to, and I know exactly what I'm going to get out of it.
Well, Tim's the best at that. He's one of the best marketers ever, that he can say, I have the same questions.
If you're an author, I'm going to talk to you about your book, and people who listen know what they're getting, and I love that. So that's what I try to do on my shows. But you're more of this is an experience. This is like a Joe Rogan experience, the bus driver experience. It's it can go anywhere. You're along for the ride, which is different, and I like that, and I can respect that.
And I'm not the only bus driver. Everybody has their own bus driver. You have your own bus. You have your own vehicle. How you can see the world and how you can go off and live your unique experience. I'm just here, taking you on the bus that I know, my bus right here. You got to go out and create your own thing. Maybe create your own lane. Be your own bus driver.
Cool, man.
Be on the bus. So
hell yeah.
That's my shtick. But I mean, yeah, if you have an idea like Tim Ferriss, I want to make a book. I'm going to ask the same questions. I'm going to take those notes from the show and turn into a book, and you're able to have that discipline, and that's your overall general message of creating a show, then yeah, as a podcaster, and you, like you said, there's some shows I have, I listen to PTI, podcast version. I don't watch it on TV, know what I'm getting. 22-minute program.
Oh, yeah, I was just curious. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, there's
understand you
definitely
more.
those. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is one of my favorite shows.
You love history,
Well, it's the #1 podcast in the world too,
really?
download-wise.
Wow.
He gets like 1 million in the first few hours.
Wow.
And it's a history podcast that's 4 or 6 hours long.
Wow. Wow.
What do people like? What do people want when a history show is the best? Rogan's the #1 download show, like per show, but Dan Carlin puts one out once every 6 months or a year.
Oh.
But he'll get, just the most downloads per episode. But Rogan's, a few million per app. Tim Ferriss.
Rogan makes me feel hopeful for society that we can have like undisturbed, unfiltered information. He could talk to anybody, and he seems to give a generally non-biased output. And I feel like the truth will always come through when we have like these cool mediums like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, conversation's a dying art, and
It's back, baby.
we're getting it there.
It's back, baby.
Podcasts are still growing, man. There's still a long space and a long way to go. I think I was telling you it's 30% of Americans listen to podcasts. I think that's kind of directly correlated to college graduates in the country, which is about 33% of Americans have college degrees. I think that's a strong thing we can relate those things to. And it's very coastal, Living in big cities, living in metropolitan areas, you're going to predominantly know about podcasts and shows, but it's tough getting stuck in the window in a bubble out here or in any big city to say, oh, this is what the rest of the country thinks like. This is what the rest of the people think
Good
like.
point. I get like that.
They're great and they're educational, but there's still a lot of people that don't know about it.
I'm in a bubble. Yeah.
There's a lot of growth in the space, so I'm excited to be working with you on those things, man.
Likewise, man.
Yeah.
Happy to have you as my producer.
I'm pumped, man.
Stoked, man.
We're going to get your show taken off. Already on a bunch of new mediums and a bunch of new channels so people can find your show, Mind Body Hoops.
It's changing. You want to talk about it?
Tell us.
Mind Body Hoops is the podcast name is going to be Looking Up, and it's just a name that came to me that sounds fun and exciting, and it's just to allow myself not to be confined to basketball anymore. I want to kind of blend my professional life and my brand so that I don't have to be so spread all over the place. I have clients that I help with like creative directive stuff, and from video strategy to just overall branding, and then I get to work with some of the best people in the mind body athletic space, and then I have my brand on the side where it's very specific to basketball. So I'd love to just blend all three so I could share my professional projects, I can share what I'm learning from my clients, and then share what I'm learning in terms of my continuing study of mental health and performance. And my Instagram will probably just be changed to Max McCoy, personalized. It's just me anyway, so I don't want to just overly brand myself for no reason. So really just minimizing. I'm kind of a minimal anyways in life, so minimizing all the moving parts and just making it all one holistic kind of, this is what I'm working on, and if you like it, tune in, my man.
Yeah, going to be Looking Up with Max McCoy?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I'm pumped. When do you think this change is going to be happening?
Soon, a couple weeks.
Okay.
Instagram's going to change soon, but Looking Up, I'm in no rush, but I love the name. For some reason, it came to me when I was rolling out with a lacrosse ball. I have this weird thing where I'll roll out with a lacrosse ball, and I'll get a really tight spot. And then when I really break through and finally get that muscle to relax, ideas come to me. It's as if ideas are trapped in the tension of my body. Talk about mind-body connection stuff. And so I was like rubbing out my tight hips, like everybody's got tight hips, and Looking Up, that'd be a great name, because I'd been thinking about it. And for me, Looking Up is just a cool name. Means so many things. Can mean looking up to the people I'm talking to who are like mentors to me, looking up to a better day, looking up to the fucking cosmos, and it could be taken as a spiritual sense. So it's kind of an abstract approach, which I like.
You're talking about breaking through. Do you do any psychoactives or any supplements to help you with your mind body?
Currently, no, but I have. Yeah.
Which ones?
Illegal substances. Yeah, I have. But I would say some really beautiful experiences, like when I was like in a tough place when I was like 19 or 20. My first time was dabbling with those plants, and it really helped me like get a better sense for who I was and kind of the world. And it's almost as if I've thought a lot about it. It's like I think the first step into creating a really big change for anybody is getting like shook and kind of just like shaking your foundation to the core, and that can happen through things we're just talking about, or it can happen through travel. It can happen through just getting yourself in really uncomfortable situations. So it's a really good way to like do that in a controlled environment, lose control, kind of like blow everything out of the water, and then that really forces you to remember who you are down to the core.
I definitely don't think it's for everybody. As much as I've used,
that's why I've
them.
never talked about it, and I don't know if I feel because my audience is young.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's cool. But it's like it's a personal thing. If people wanted to talk to me individually about it, I would be like, I think it's a great idea. I think I definitely support what like MAPS is doing.
Rick Doblin, over at MAPS.
Man, they're doing amazing stuff. And for someone who has siblings with really severe depression, being able to see what, for one of them, have tried it and one of them haven't, seeing the difference and how much it can help, how much it can help you talk about your stubbornness or whatever, you're clinging to the issues that you tell yourself you have. Things like psychedelics can kind of break that apart and remind you, this is who I am down to the core. You're stripped of everything.
Massively.
Yeah.
But that's, again, why I don't think it's for everybody. I think there's definitely a proponent of people.
Yeah, there's risks. It can onset things like dementia and like
schizophrenia as well.
Yeah.
People joke about putting those in the water supplies. I'm like, you cannot joke about that. Not a good joke.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. And I mean,
I've talked to a therapist though about not like one-on-one as a therapy session, but as like a guy who was working in a therapy profession. He says even things like these super potent THC pens have been onsetting things like schizophrenia, and it's
absolutely
because they're so potent and they're so artificial at this point where you got to be really careful if you have a predisposition to any of that. Like these things maybe don't cause it, but they get that shit rolling.
Yeah, these substances will, some of them, I'll say one, for example, LSD will change your thoughts and change, the way you see, not just while under the influence. I think it's just
that was the first one.
A paradigm shift.
First one I ever took.
First for a lot of people. It'll change how you see the world, how you perceive the world. Yeah. And I think predominantly it's in a positive way and positive for a lot of people, but I
guess we could talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think I heard of it this way and it really stuck with me. It's like you can have super bad experiences in your life and it becomes like a part of your identity and you're like traumatized for life and you have like a scar. And it's like that's what people call like when you're gonna have PTSD, it's because a really, really intense thing happened to you and your brain's like, remember this, change because of this, so never let this happen again. I've heard, I think it was Sam Harris talk about it. He said like psychedelics can be such an extreme version of the opposite of that. It can be such an extreme positive, such a profound event where so much stimuli is being taken in, your mind's blown, so many good things are happening where it becomes embedded in your who you are. And it becomes a part. It's like the opposite of PTSD. It's like a incredibly traumatic positive event where now you're moving in a different direction, if that makes sense. So super cool. And then I think I've also heard that if you think of thought patterns as like water going down a rock and it creates grooves in the rock over time, psychedelics kind of allow that rock to reset sometimes.
Interesting.
And kind of ruffle up the feathers, clear the cobwebs, and make new grooves, make new thought patterns. And it's just incredible. And there's a lot of science going down to this. Again, I'm bad at reciting shit, but
you talked about earlier. I look at them as like creative inputs, and you have to balance out the amount of creative input you're taking in. Because
or input in general,
yeah, I mean it's going to ruffle your feathers. That's a great way to say it. Taking some of these substances, and it's going to really allow you to see the world in a whole different light.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to reassess what you saw.
You got to learn from it.
Take what you have, and then try and put those practices with the output into the world.
Yeah.
And that's a circle of life, man.
Yeah. For me, it was a really positive experience. It was a legal experience, but it was positive.
Yeah. You a Sam Harris fan? You were talking about him?
Yeah, he's got the Waking Up app, I think.
I haven't done the app yet.
I haven't done it either, but I'm just a fan of what he stands for and what he's doing.
Yeah, he's interesting because he has that open talk about psychoactive substances and using them, and being one of the most eloquent, beautiful speakers in the world.
I appreciate you like pushing me to like try and talk about this stuff because it's like something I'm uncomfortable talking about because it's like that pseudo still. So I'm like I don't want to get myself screwed over, but I think it's also like a part of. Like the truth is like these things are really positive and they're natural substances found in nature. We've been taking them for millions of years. So it's like something I got to get over is like getting my ego hurt if I get in trouble or anything.
Yeah, my ego needs beating up. And that's why I know I need some of these substances. I'm due for a good one. I'm excited. I'm doing one soon.
Really? Yeah.
A good maybe a mushroom trip.
I think they're good. Maybe like a yearly thing. Like I think it's really good to just check in with yourself, see where you're at.
Oh man,
blow the waters away.
That'll take your look or your ego in the mirror, and it'll just like it's like a good wet cloth, and you just wring out that ego. And
serious.
Beat it up, just like I needed that, man.
For real.
I'm a little back down on earth right now.
And if anybody I think everybody's an artist, but if you consider yourself an artist already, especially, like it can really bring you back to that like pure, soulful, artistic nature where you're like, ooh, like I don't have myself getting my own way. Is this good? Is this bad? It's just like, no, it's just like, it's what you are.
We'll see in 2 weeks. I'm going to do it in about 2 weeks. So you'll judge me after 2 weeks.
Cool. I love it.
Well, thank you, brother, for coming on. We got a good 90 right here. Good 90-minute show.
How you doing, Brian?
I think we're deep on cards over there.
Minutes left.
On SD cards. So I want to thank you so much for coming in.
Of course, brother. Thanks for having me.
I know now you see the show as it's a weird, wild roller coaster.
It's a wild west.
Conversational
the bus driver experience.
Interview.
I'm
gonna get you comfortable. I'm gonna get you loose, and I'm gonna go after your psyche and let people know who you are and bring people in.
Cool, man.
That's the bus.
What is your what's next for you?
I don't know. India is definitely in my future. I may push that back a few weeks to the end of the year, end of the 2020. Still gonna happen, but we're gonna see what's happening in the next few weeks. I have a lot of interesting things happening, and I love Los Angeles. I love this house I live in. I love the people I've connected with and worked with out here.
I'm gonna be in Venice Beach. See you soon.
So yeah, we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks and see what happens. Maybe have some more time to prep and plan for India, because that's definitely happening.
Cool.
It's definitely the next mission of this brand and this community, or for people around the world I'm trying to connect and inspire, and to move in a to create their own selves, man.
Cool,
create the best versions of them. So
I love it.
Yeah. And let people know where they can find you. Let them know about this podcast course we got going.
When is this being released?
We'll probably do it end of next week, or maybe Monday, or maybe the next Monday. I'm not sure.
You want to push it back a little bit? Find me at Max McCoy. Brandon will tag it up. My name. I haven't switched my @ name yet, but I'm doing it ASAP. So I'm going to let you tag it up. Find me on Instagram. From there, you can find everything about me. My name is Max McCoy, people. Oh, we got a should I say it to camera? Because this could be used as an ad. We got the raw audio. This is the Brandon Reese effect.
We can cut this video out later too, man.
Yeah. So we got a podcast course. It's called How to Start a Podcast 101. I got so many people who are asking me about how to start a podcast. Should I start a podcast? Hey, I got so many questions. And I basically took everybody's questions and then some and just try to answer everything. So it's a podcast course, how to set up your podcast, how to get the concept of it, how to strategize the actual podcasting process, how to prepare for talks, how to be a better podcaster, how to get better at speaking, how to get curious, how to just be present with your guests. And then you come in, Brandon, as my producer, killing it with the videos that you made, helping people with the how to get your podcast hosted, how to get it set up with multiple different feeds, what kind of mic you should get. We give you tons of options. It's a podcast course that I invested a lot in, and then I know you helped me out and just made it even better. And it's cheap. It's less than $50, and you're set up. You have literally our full team in your corner, and then you get access to a Facebook group where I have a small tribe of podcasters, helping each other out, supporting each other, making sure we can all bounce ideas and questions off each other so that we're supported every step of the way. It's basically the course I wish I had when I started my own podcast. We made that, How to Start a Podcast 101. Super cool. Just launched.
Yeah. We'll have links for that in the show notes. We'll have links on that in social media. You can find that in my bio on my Instagram. You can find that on Max's as well, or Mind Body Hoops. You'll be able to find that course and go ahead and connect with us on there. Ask any questions you want, because if you really want to start a podcast on your own, it is hard work. It is going to be time consuming, but we're going to be there for you and be there to help you compact and be a lot more concise in your plan on how you're targeting that stuff. But brother, thank you for coming on the show.
Love you, brother.
Great podcast. Great stuff. And yeah, everybody else, thanks for tuning in. This is a wild bus ride. You got a little bit more about what we're about here on the Bus Driver Experience. Again, like, comment, subscribe. Go ahead and share this episode. You got all the different options, sharing it on YouTube with Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, all those shares help. It helps people find this show, and it helps grow this show. And I'm not here at this show like we talked about it without people who listen and people who are still an hour and a half in listening to me spiel and pitch myself. So thank you to all you guys for doing that. There's other ways to support. There's merch. There's gear. You can let the people know you have so much fucking content. You can go buy those shirts at busdriverproductions.com. There's I'm on the Bus t-shirts. Those help support me massively. They help me support and get guys like Brian who come in here and produce all this great videos and help me produce and create this crazy show. He helps me on all ends of the program. And yeah, if you're on the podcast app, go ahead and leave that 5-star review. It's the currency of podcast. I appreciate all those reviews. We're trying to get to 200 as soon as possible. And yeah, guys, no matter where you are, you're on the bus, man. We'll see you later.
Bye.